stuff. Oh, are we live?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, what were you pointing to?
Yeah, those rings.
Wow, look at the Steelers, guys. They're so important.
Okay, fix your face.
Okay. Welcome back.
What's up, y'all?
To another episode of Real Talk with Carissa and Jason.
Well, what?
Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
baby.
Boom, boom, boom. We're excited to be back.
I am excited.
Actually. Yeah, we don't really seem to have any type of schedule anymore. We
No.
used to be every Thursdays, but now it's
Just whenever.
whenever.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. When we're asked to, really, is what it comes down to.
Yeah. So
Here we are.
here we are. Happy to be here today.
How you doing?
Good. It feels good to talk
Yeah.
to people.
Yeah.
Feel kind of isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've also had a lot going on since the last
I
time.
have.
People. Yeah.
Have had a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm with child.
Yeah.
That's been crazy.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get into that into the next episode. Though.
Yeah.
But yeah, just bringing up what's been going on in my life. That's why. Yeah. Or maybe we should talk about it this episode. I don't know.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, you brought it up, so now I'm wondering.
Let's go.
Yeah, lots been going on in my life. Obviously, have been bearing a child for the past. I'm 6 months now.
Yeah, congrats.
Which is crazy, and it's been a roller coaster. And why this podcast schedule has become completely irregular, also, because I went ghost for like 3 months of my life.
Things going on. You know?
I mean, things happen. So I mean, I'm sure once the kid comes into this world, you might not hear from me
Next
for
level,
more than
yeah, exactly. Next level of ghosting.
Yeah. So it's been really interesting though, because it's been a journey, and I'm sure every woman that's ever been pregnant can relate, but this is my first pregnancy, so it's been a very kind of like spiritual journey too, just growing in my relationship with God, right? Because anytime you're taken like straight out of your comfort zone, it forces you to grow, basically. Mm-hmm. So there's this like phrase that's like, Jesus comforts the disturbed and disturbs the comfortable. So I was very comfortable, right? And he definitely disturbed that in the best way possible. Of course, literally in a great way, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna hop in and maybe kind of share my testimony, and then I think that will kind of explain maybe the message I want to put forth.
Yeah,
today.
well, I don't really want. I mean, I'm gonna be your P Diddy in the background. Yeah, because that's not something that I can really speak about.
No,
so.
not really. I mean, I think men definitely have their own journeys too, and if they're watching their wife, or I know a lot of our listeners have like children, or they know life, right? Mm-hmm. So I hope you like my fresh perspective of what I'm going through, and I know a lot of people can relate. So basically talking to moms during this time has really helped me.
Yes. Because
they're like, yeah, everything you're going through is like completely normal, right? So of course, once you get pregnant, everyone's like, oh, you're going to have morning sickness. Oh my God, how do you feel? And I'm like, why are you so excited about me being nauseous? Like, this is disrespectful. But I literally prayed for, like, before I even got pregnant, like years before, I was like, Lord, I just can't take all that throwing up every day. Like, I couldn't do that. How do people do that? I'm like, please keep me at like a minimum, like just bless me. Right. Mm-hmm. And he really did. So thankfully I haven't been vomiting and stuff like that. But my first trimester, which every woman says is like the hardest, it was definitely really hard. I basically felt nauseous every day, which is like just crappy, right? Yeah. So it's like, just to imagine, like when you feel nauseous for a night, like you feel like you still have to like recover the next day. So if you feel nauseous 24/7, it's kind of like, okay, this is a lot. And I was just like absolutely exhausted to the point where nothing made any sense, where I was like, okay, so I come home from work and I take a nap for like 2 hours, but then I go to bed at like 10 p.m. Right. It's not like, oh, you take a long nap and you feel great and you're up and you can do things. No, like it was literally like pure exhaustion. And, I'm looking up the science behind it, and it all makes sense. Everything that's happening in my body is normal. But I literally feel like I want to die. So I'm like, that's dramatic, but. I
remember you telling me that that was kind of your routine. You kind of take a nap and then go to bed. I was a little worried because, I don't know. Right?
I was literally worried about myself. I'm like, and people were like, do you have low iron? Like, maybe you're anemic and blah, blah, blah. And I have like a completely perfect like bill of health, and I'm like, this is great news, but it's also really frustrating because why am I so exhausted, right? Yeah. You look at the science behind it, like basically in the first trimester, the baby's placenta hasn't like kicked in yet, so it's taking all of its energy from you. Okay. So you are quite literally like feeding two people. Right. Whereas like after the placenta comes into effect, the placenta starts pumping stuff into the baby, right?
Gotcha.
So then you get more energy.
And I'm like, why don't you just go work out, get some energy?
No, I'm like, but literally can't. Yeah, right? So it's like, when I'm getting messages like this, I'm like, I actually just want to punch someone. I'm like, I would if I could, but I can't, right? Yeah. So basically, I experienced like the pinnacle of like the saying, like, man makes plans and God laughs, right? Mm-hmm. Because before I got pregnant, I had like lots of plans. I was like, okay, I want to open my own business and, you know, keep doing the podcast and keep going with that. I got my own blog. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to put up YouTube videos. And it's like, and then I'm going to do this business and it's going to financially set us up. And, you know, we're going to do this and maybe plan to buy a house and blah, 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 right? Okay. Then I get pregnant and I pretty much beat myself up for 3 months because I can't do anything.
Right.
And no matter like how hard I try, basically the only energy I had was used for whatever absolutely had to get done that day. So if I had to go to work, that's all the energy I had, right? And then so I'm like constantly trying to defend myself to people that aren't even looking for a defense, but I just feel like I need to defend myself, right?
It's really more for you probably than for
because I'm like, I'm strong, right? Yeah. And then I was really mentally just going through a lot. Honestly, I don't want to make it seem like I said before, I was gonna die. Like, that's just me being dramatic, but like I was actually okay. But mentally I was going through this kind of game with myself where I was just like, wow, like what am I if I can't like do any of these things? And it basically felt like my identity was literally ripped apart. It was like I had a box with everything in it and the lid was taken off, and just one by one God was like, we're taking that out. We're taking that out. Like, we're taking that out. And it just felt like everything that I felt like was me just like wasn't in my life anymore. And it's like I had no control over it. And it's like, even if I tried to have control over it, right? Like I had energy one day and I'm like, okay, well, like, let me do this or that. Then the next day I don't have energy again. And I'm like, well, that lasted one day. Like that doesn't sustain you, right? So.
What do you mean? You couldn't open a business in one day?
No, but.
No, it's a joke, yeah.
Okay. So annoying. Basically, I found that a lot of myself, like my identity, who I thought Carissa was very rooted in what I do and the type of person that I am based off what I do. So I consider myself a very organized person. I think I'm very productive. I like to work. I think I'm a hard worker. I think I try to think in advance. I think I'm also kind of like a dreamer. Like I like to imagine this. What if we do this and that and whatever, right? You know, I talk about how many different ideas have I brought your way. I'm going to be the next Walt Disney. You know what I mean? And here I am in Jason's basement.
It's the second best thing. You're good.
Yeah. So I realized like you don't really realize how much you root your identity in something until it's taken away. And I realized so much of my identity was rooted in the fact that I get things done and I'm a productive person. So even like the bare minimum of like, well, like I want to be like a good wife. Like, let me like meal prep. You know what I mean? Let me like be a healthy person. I didn't have that in me. Like I really didn't. And even now I'm still kind of struggling with it. I'm like, now I have it in me, but it's like every time I look at like fish and chicken, like I want to barf. So I'm like, it's kind of hard. Like I'm going to force myself to eat this and then literally be on the verge of vomiting after. Right. So I'm like, okay. So it was like, it really maybe took me like 2.5 to like 3 months to like really realize like the hole I dug myself into of like realizing, okay, I've been like shaming myself this whole time for no reason. Or also like maybe it was kind of a process I needed to go through because I felt so, basically the right word is like worthless. I'm like, I am like a worthless potato
because you're not doing all the stuff that I'm
not doing
are supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And you know, this isn't this message or whatever I'm sharing, it isn't for someone that has like a laziness issue, you know what I mean? Because if you find yourself kind of struggling with like laziness or, you know, you don't take strides and risks and stuff like that, this is not for you, because I think I'm the opposite of that. I think I don't have a problem when it comes to laziness.
They're going to be like, yo, you're living a blessed life right now.
I know, right? this is not for someone that has that problem, because this is for the people that have the problems of they're always trying to do something. They're always trying to do more. And you think that will bring you some type of joy and happiness and bring you somewhere. Mm-hmm. And God basically tore that all down for me and was like, it's not about doing, it's about being. Right? Because I was like, okay, so who am I if I can't do anything of these things? Because I thought to myself, you know, okay, eventually one day I can do these things again. And, you know, whenever I want to start a business, it's right there for me. All I got to do is just go ahead, right? Whenever we want to buy a house or whatever, all we got to do is save the money and, you know, make steps and go ahead, right? But it made me realize, like, if God wants to take something away from you, he can do that in a matter of a millisecond, right? So it's like, I started thinking it's not just pregnancy, right? It was like, okay, well, what if you have a kid and things change? Or like, literally, like, if God wants you dead tomorrow, you'll be dead tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I was like, kind of like coming to terms with that. It's like, okay, like I feel like I'm constantly making all these plans, doing everything, thinking, oh, it's almost like a control thing, right? And then I realized, okay, so God wants me to like just be, and that's who I am, because I was having almost this like identity crisis. I'm like, well, if I can't do this and I can't do that, or whatever, I'm just sitting down all day. Who am I if I'm just sitting down all day? It sounds like such a silly question, but like, if you couldn't go to the gym, if you couldn't work, if you couldn't do your podcast, if you couldn't see your friends, take away like everything, and you just sitting in a room, who are you? It really makes you question.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so it's funny because I've heard a lot of people talk about this topic lately, and just really realizing like your identity like lies within God and just being. Because, you know, like when God said his name to Moses said, like, who should I say like sent me to the Israelites? Like, what's your name? And he said, my name is I am, right? He didn't say my name is I'm doing. Yeah. I've been there. Like, you know what I mean?
I see
like,
where you're going with this now. Okay.
He's saying,
yes.
My name is I am, right? And it's like, okay, so I know that's like kind of hard to process, but everything in life basically is what I'm trying to say is it can be stripped away. Like literally that everything you think is so permanent. Like you got your house, you know, it's not going nowhere, right?
Well, I don't know that.
I know, but for the most part, you're just like, well, a lot of people have their house. They're like, well, I got my mortgage set up, but you know, I got this. We got the good job. Even if we lose the good jobs, we have a backup safety plan and a backup to the backup and whatever and blah, blah, blah. Okay.
There's a lot of homeless people out there that had those same plans too, though.
So I'm saying, what if you have your great house and then tomorrow a freak tornado happens and tears up your house? You know what I mean? It's like everything in life can be taken away. Everything is temporary except one thing.
Yes.
And that's Jesus.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
It sounds so preachy, but I don't really care at this point because I'm just sharing my life.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's a scripture that says, that's really been getting me through everything. It says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So Jesus is the only thing that stays the same through a pandemic, through this, through that, through everything. Jesus stays the same. He's not changing.
Yes.
But everything else in the world can change. Everything.
I like that.
So the root of you and who you consider who you are, we're constantly evolving and changing as humans, right? But when you describe yourself and you describe like, well, I'm Jason, I'm like this, you know, I do this and I blah, 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 like you don't include in that, well, you know, I'm also probably going to change at some point and that's going to change and blah, blah, blah. You consider that who you are, like the essence of your being. Mm-hmm. And those are all great things. It's like not stuff that you shouldn't be happy with and embrace. But the very core, the very root needs to be in the one thing that will never, ever change.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Is basically what I've learned. So ask me what you want to ask.
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
Because
you make perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'll admit at the beginning, I was like, I don't know where you're going with.
Okay.
No clue. But I 100% understand where you're going with now. So, because everybody's experiences are very different.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yeah.
with what you know now and how you were before you were pregnant, I was going to say put in the situation.
I know, like I'm talking about it like it's like a bad thing, but it's just like, it's great. It's just, this was truly the mental struggle I went through.
Listen, there, personal growth can come at any time.
Yes,
and really that's all this is.
Yeah.
This is another moment in personal growth that you're learning about yourself, that you're very aware of, that, let's face it, 95% of people will never get to. Right? Yeah. Unfortunately. But so we're here now. So my question is knowing where you are right now and how you're processing this, what would you have done differently before? Or how would you have looked at things differently? Or what would have changed differently if you were to go back? How many months are you now?
6 months.
So if you were to go back 8 months from now.
You know, it's so funny. I said this question to myself. I literally said, well, you know what? I really want like another child, right? So my next pregnancy, I'm going to work out and I'm going to be the healthiest I've ever been. I'm going to do detoxes and cleanse. There's not going to be an ounce of toxin in my body. Like, I'm going to make sure my body's on like 100 and my mind is on 100. I'm going to be mentally prepared. I'm going to be blah, 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 whatever, right? I said this all to myself. I'm going to be prepared next time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I was like, wait, knowing this guy, God, exactly what I did. You make a plan and God will be like, that's pretty joke's on you, right? Yeah, because I could be so prepared as ever. And then for some reason, that next pregnancy could maybe be harder than the first. You have no idea, right? Because I've talked to moms and I'm like, wow, like I feel so blessed that like I wasn't throwing up or whatever. And I talked to my friend's mom and she said, the first 2, she wasn't nauseous, but then the third one, she was nauseous for 9 months, the entire pregnancy. And I'm like, why? Like, why on the third? Like, God couldn't just bless her with an easy time on the third, you know? So it's like, each pregnancy is different, like, even if you're in the same body, right? So there's so many factors in life that are beyond my control, right? And I think with me personally, the lesson God wants to teach me is not that, okay, I mean, obviously I need to improve in every area to steward better over situations, like take care of my body more or take care of this better and whatever, right? But I think what God really wants to teach me is that I'm not as in control as I think. Because my answer to your question is, I give you a long laundry list of all things I would do to better control the situation. But what God is showing me is, you're not in control.
Right, okay. So I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know me, I always have to have an answer of some sort.
Okay.
I think your answer is that you would not have put all these expectations on what your life was going to look like.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Literally, because I literally expected like, okay, well, you know, it'll probably be hard, but you know, I'm still going to go to work. I'm still going to do me. Like literally that's what I thought. As soon as I learned I was pregnant, before you know, all the physical stuff started kicking in, I had no plans on stopping anything or doing anything. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to live my life just pregnant, right? And even before I got pregnant, I had these ideas where I wanted a healthy pregnancy. Like I wanted to eat really clean. I wanted to work out. And then for 3 months, the only thing I could physically digest without wanting to barf was bagels and fruit. So I'm eating bagels every day and I'm reading the ingredients on the bagels and I'm like, this is horrible. This is so horrible. And I'm like literally beating myself up. And then talking to other women helped me because they're just like, yeah, I ate sausage and egg McMuffins every day. Don't worry. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, I did really set certain expectations for myself and 0 of them were met. So I'm literally lying there in the dust like, wow, I'm like worthless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, for people that are listening to this
that aren't pregnant,
well, whoever, pregnant or no pregnant, because there are going to be guys listening to this too, right? Where and when is the fine line of, you know, don't set expectations for yourself. In other words, somebody might, okay, so me, if I'm removed from where we are right now and I'm just listening and I don't really know you or they don't really know me and I'm listening to 2 people have this discussion, I'm going to say, well, so you're just never going to make goals for the rest of your life then? Like you're never going to say what you want to do and work towards that again because God's in control like that. So how do you determine that fine line?
Yeah. It is really fine. I mean, I don't have the answer for everybody, but what I would just say is you firstly really need to like reflect on yourself as a person and realize the type of person that you are, number one, because I've realized the type of person I am is I try to be in control of everything.
I think we all do. Like,
yeah.
Just blanket generalizing.
Statement, yeah.
We all do.
Yeah. My doctor diagnosed me with an anxiety disorder, so maybe mine is a little elevated, right? Okay, it's just a little bit more elevated than the average person. Yeah, I would say, I think we all do, you're right. But I am just a very worried person in general. I don't like claiming that over myself, but I'm just being honest here. Like, that is one of my biggest struggles that I go through is kind of like worry and fear, right? I've talked about it on this show before. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important, number one, to evaluate the type of person you are first, because there are people that, like me, that are overly worried or overly planning and have a harder time being like, well, you know what, if it doesn't work out like this, or you know what, I can just be patient and I can just see what happens, whatever. I have a very hard time doing that. Mm-hmm. To be patient and see what happens is a very hard thing for me to do, right? Mm-hmm. So I know I'm that type of person. So then my next steps are go from there, right? So, but if you know that you're the type of person that you're maybe a little too like, well, you just go with the flow with everything, right? Then you need to approach it probably a little differently. And if you're maybe a more so balanced person, like what you seem like, you seem like you got a good balance, right? It's really just knowing where you're starting off with first. And then the fine line is kind of difficult, right? Because I think what it comes down to is where are you putting your trust in the situation? Mm-hmm. Because let's say you have a goal, like I want to start a business, or I want to buy a house, whatever it is, right? If we just like sit there and do nothing and be like, well, I'm just going to wait on God and see what he wants to do. Or I'm just going to let God do his thing because I'm not in control of anything, right? So whatever, right? God has also given us the ability to work and to move our hands and to use our brains, right?
Yep.
So,
yep. But God also helps those who help themselves too. I mean, we've had this discussion and you seem to disagree with me on it, but
those help themselves, yeah.
I firmly believe that. You know what, actually? I'm gonna answer my own question.
Okay.
Not that you didn't. But,
no, because what basically I'm beating around the bush, but what I'm trying to get to basically is that your goals and the end of it is where is your trust in? Is your trust in all of your plans, and you know you're such an organized person and you have these really big goals and you know that you're so great at this skill and blah blah blah. Is that what your trust is in, or is your trust in God that he's going to take care of you? That's to me what the fine line is.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, you actually just summed up what I was about to say.
Okay.
And what I was going to say was, for me, the fine line is very simple. I think it's important to have goals and aspirations and things to look forward to and things to work towards. I think that's super important. And I hope everybody has that, although I know not everybody does.
Yeah.
But when you do have that, follow that, work towards that. But if it doesn't happen the way that you wanted it to happen, because you have that trust in God, you will be able to move on or move in another direction or pivot or, realign with whatever is in front of you at that time. And that's where that trust comes in that you're just finished talking about. So that was the fine line, is where is your trust? If your trust is in God, then you know that, okay, what you were working towards is not working out right now, or maybe never will.
Yeah.
But you will be okay with moving in another direction shortly after.
The peace, yeah. Being like, all right, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, see, and this is beautiful because, we all know I'm not pregnant, but but I am right now in a season of going through that. I never looked at it or analyzed it in the way that you're explaining it. And now you've just kind of, okay, because I'll shorten this. I'm just going to shorten it to show you that it's the same path, just different circumstances. Okay. So, you know that at the beginning of the year, I decided that I was going to put my life on a different trajectory and a different path. And my thing was, this pandemic showed me one thing, showed me a lot of things, but one thing it showed me was that as I had my life, I was never in full control of my life from outside influences, God or Jesus removed. So, I have a job, I have a house, I have this, I have that. All of that can be put on hold from outside influences, mainly government or people or whatever it is. Okay. So I made the decision that I was going to take things into my own hands and put myself in a position where I wasn't going to rely on anybody else for income, where I was going to put myself in a position where my freedoms weren't going to be taken away from me because of whatever reason it's going to be taken away from. So I put a plan together. I've spent money on this plan. I've invested a lot of time into this plan. And exactly what I was doing, and to me, it was brilliant, like brilliant, if I can say so myself.
Okay.
And now I'm at this point right now where I literally just talked to God the other day, and I'm like, was this not what I was supposed to do? Because I asked you for help. I asked you for direction, and you put me on, I feel like you put me on this path. Now I've done this, but exactly what I wanted to get out of it is exactly the opposite of what I'm getting out of it. Opposite. So I just talking to him the other day, and I'm like, so did I misread what you wanted me to do? Was this what I wanted, but not what you wanted? And I don't know, like, what's going on right now. So, I came to a point this week where I'm like, okay, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do, but I don't want to give up on it in case it's just something else.
Yeah.
So I'm literally I put it all on hold right now for 2 weeks. I have all on hold because I'm waiting for God to talk to me, to tell me what it is I should be doing. And it's because I have that trust in him that I know it's going to be okay at the end of the day. I'm not freaking out, although I will tell you a lot of people will be freaking out in my situation right now. I'll talk about it with you offline. Okay. A lot of people would be tripping right now. But I'm not. I'm not even concerned in any way, shape, or form because my trust is with him. But again, I hit that point where I have to pivot. I think I have to pivot, and we'll see.
You know what? I feel like this is just my thought, but maybe he wanted you to get to this point of being like, you know what, God, I trust in you because, like you were saying, your plan was brilliant, right? Could it be possible that you were really trusting in the fact that, I'm a smart dude and make smart decisions? It's a great plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of putting your trust in your plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But in my defense, I thought my plan was his plan.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
I don't know. If there's one thing that I think you might know about me is that more times than not, especially big decisions, I try to be very good about just letting go and let God.
Yeah.
I think I do that pretty well.
Yeah,
I think.
I would agree with you.
So that's what that was. It's not like I wanted to go in that direction because, to be honest with you, I really didn't want to.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Because it involved me going to back to school almost and learning a new language almost. I didn't want to do that, but I felt like that's what I felt like I was put on that path.
Yeah.
But there's others out there who,
that might be it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I think that was the case with me, and that's why my world per se came crumbling before me, because and why it affected me emotionally and mentally so much was because I realized so much of my trust and my hope and my confidence and everything that I had set out was the fact that I get things done. I'm just that girl where I'll get it done. You know what I mean? And, I always, I'm not I'm that person where I I had to hang curtains in my house. And everyone, like my mom and me and so many people were just like, why don't you just wait for TK to do it? And I'm like, I'm not waiting.
Yeah, you just want to get it done.
I'm just going to get it done.
Yeah.
Like, and part of it is, you know, just my struggle with, you know, patience or anxiety or whatever you want to call it, right? I just like getting things done. I'm not trying to wait, right? So that's what all of my hope was that I'm that type of person. I get things done.
Yeah.
So if I want to go get it done, I'm getting it done.
Yeah.
And if it's not getting done, it's because I don't want to get it done.
Yeah.
And then I'm in this position where I can't really do anything. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like so much of my hope and confidence in this plan was in the fact that in my skills, it wasn't in the fact that God could do this for me, that he could enable me to do this, and that he can connect me how I need to be connected, and he could guide my steps. So I'm excited for him to speak to me whenever he's going to speak to me next on what I can actually do and move forward, because I don't want to make the same mistake again. Please, God, put it out there. I don't, because that was really hard to go through, but it's like, that's what personal growth is. That's what personal development is. It's not cute, right? It's not fun, honestly, but that's what it was. So I'm sure there's people out there that kind of go through the same thing, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that go through what you go through, where you kind of thought, well, you know, I really thought this was God's plan and it's not working. Now what? Right?
Yeah. Yes.
But there's this verse in Isaiah. It says, God is speaking, and he's like, my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. So God is just like, you think you understand me. You think you understand what's going on right now, but you don't. He says, my ways are higher than your ways. And that's why so much of life just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't get it, right? And God is just like, just chill and hold this for a second. My ways are just higher than your ways. And it's true, because if you think about how was this created and how did the world begin, you can't even wrap your head around it, even if you try. It's because God is so much bigger than us. Yeah, but it's just like, even the scientific explanation is, well, there was just a big pop. It's like, what? Like, even try to wrap your head around that there was nothing, and then the next day there was a big pop. Like, even trying to wrap your head around that is just, or even trying to wrap your head around the fact that we came from a monkey. Like, it's crazy. It's really crazy. So it's like, God is so much bigger than us. And I think that's where so much of the trusting comes in, which is basically what it seems like you're in right now, which is like, you know what? I don't know what's going on, but it's okay, because I know that God knows more than me, and he's in control, and he's got something better planned than that I can see before my eyes.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And just to speak to that a little bit, in my situation, I had to just swallow hard there for a second, because I just started to process everything again. Yeah. In the situation that I'm in right now, you know, although I'm in this holding pattern right now, which is really hard for me, because I'm like you, it's like, let's go, let's get stuff done. But I'm in this holding pattern that I'm okay with. He has said, okay, Hirwa, I understand what you're going through. So hold this right now, where you don't need to worry like you could right now. So he says, hold on to this right now, and then I'll come back to you later.
I got some stuff to do over here.
Yeah. I got some.
Chris is crying, freaking out over a ham sandwich. I'm busy for the next hour.
Crying over a ham sandwich. I feel like that's true. So that you know, that in itself tells me, you know, my prayers have not been answered, but he's still telling me he has my back.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why, like, and this is like one of a million times that a situation like this has come up. So after like maybe the 100th time, why it's so easy for me to just have faith. I have that faith and just let it go, and it'll work out in the end, because he's never let me down yet. Not in my life has he let me down yet. So why is he going to let me down now all of a sudden?
Boom.
I don't think so.
No.
Right? I don't think so.
And that's confidence in God, right?
Yeah.
Because so many of us worry, right? Like, because especially when you get wrapped up in worry, basically what the root of that is like you're worried, like, well, that God's almost going to let you down, right? And that's not shaming anybody, right? Because then you kind of get wrapped up in the shame. Well, I don't want God to think that I think he's going to let me down, whatever. No, it's like, relax.
I think it's a natural reaction.
It is, yeah. It's natural, like, to doubt and to have fear. Like, the Bible says, do not fear 365 times. Did you know this?
Is that a fact? No.
It's a fact. That's a lot of times to say, do not fear. So clearly...
That's one time every day in the year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Therefore, if God is saying it this many times, clearly we humans have an issue when it comes to fear, right? So he knows what's up. Like, that's why he's been talking about it from time, right? We have problems. We're all afraid of something, right?
I think we're all living to realize that. Even if they didn't know it before, you know it now.
Yeah, big facts. Yeah, for real, honestly. So it's like, I don't even remember the point that I was getting at, but basically, a lot of what we were freaking out about or whatever it is rooted in fear. And if you attack that fear, and if you realize this is coming from fear, and God says, I have not given you a spirit of fear. So that emotion or that feeling, whatever, is not coming from God, then you can take it from there and move. And that was a lot about me too, that when I realized like a lot of this is how I've been processing a lot of times where I'm feeling fear, or I guess let's say like about the future, because a lot of me not doing anything, right? And just feeling worthless for a couple months. A lot of what freaked me out was, well, what's going to happen in the future? Like I wanted to set this up and I thought like this could grow. And I thought, I was literally worrying, well, what am I going to become? Like, how am I going to make money? What am I going to do? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then all that worry, you can come down, you can literally root it in. This is literally coming from fear. It's a fearful statement. Well, what if this has happened? What if that has happened? Fear doesn't come from God. So I shouldn't be thinking this way. Yeah. So now how can I attack it from right there, that root, right?
Beautiful.
I felt like that was totally off topic, but I don't know.
I don't think so at all. No, I think it has everything to do with it. Okay. All right, so can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So with where you are in this season of personal growth, what are you going to do with that now? So you're here, you're pregnant, you've went through that, now you're here. What does it look like spiritually, mentally? I'll leave emotions out of it because I already know where that's going. So mentally and spiritually, what does that look like for the rest of the pregnancy? Do you think it looks like, I should say?
Yeah, right. I hope it's not feeling like that again, because I would say like it's still been a battle. Like it wasn't like one day I just woke up and thought this and I was just set free. Like it's been a slower process than I would like it to be honest with you. But I'm hoping that it's every single day I'm more set free than the next, because I pretty much bound myself to all my expectations, to everything I thought I was supposed to be, to everything I thought I was supposed to achieve in a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I want to be set free from that and just be like, God, whatever you have planned, if you're telling me to go do a step, I'll do it. That's cool. Like,
so what's your process to make this happen? Like, think of it like this. Okay. Think about people that are listening to this right now and saying, I should be married. I'm 28 years old. I'm making it up. I'm 28 years old and I should have been married by now. I should have 3 kids. I'm 30 years old and I don't have any kids right now. I should be the CEO of this company by now, but I'm not the CEO. So because their plans have been interrupted, your plans were interrupted. What is your process now to make you okay with that you are not where you wanted to be at this point?
Okay. I found this Bible verse that literally shook me to the core.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody's going to like this answer. I don't think you're going to like this answer. I don't like this answer. let me just find it. I don't want to misquote it.
Okay. You got me curious now because if I'm not going to like it, I ain't pregnant.
No, it's just for life in general.
Yeah, no, I was just joking.
It's not something you want to hear. Okay. I don't even know. I accidentally came across this verse and I was like, hell, because I realized, I'm saying I realized a lot and it's maybe all over the place, but it's true. I really realized a lot of things these past couple months. So I'm sorry if it's all over the place, but a lot of what I was going through too was a patience issue. And literally like what you were explaining, these people that might be in these certain situations, it could go down to like a patience issue too, right? where it's like, damn, like I want this now, like I want this by now. And, or also I've waited long enough. Like I've been patient long enough. Right. And so much of my, like, I'm just going to get it done now thing comes from the fact that I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to wait. Like, why wait when we need to wait? I'm like, why? So I'm impatient. So I think I told you that I've been seeing therapists for a while. Helped me so much. And she kind of brought up that, like, you know, I'm kind of an impatient person. And I was like, dang, I really am. Right. So I've been actively trying to practice patience. Like when it comes to little things, like I'll put my food in front of me. I did this a few times. It was so brutal. And I just looked at it for 5 minutes before I even touched it. And I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. Just stared at it. And I was like, this is really hard. And then one time I was driving home and I saw one lane had more traffic and I went in that lane. And I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm trying to practice in small things to give me patience for the bigger things, right? So it's just been in my head, okay, patience. Yeah. But then I saw this verse and I was like, now I actually want to be a patient person, okay?
Okay.
It says, better is a patient person than a warrior. Better is one with self-control than one who takes a city. I was like, yo. I almost passed out when I read this. Better is a patient person than a warrior. You know how great a warrior is, especially in these Bible times.
Yes.
A warrior,
Yeah.
you're king of the world if you're a warrior.
Yeah.
And then the writer Solomon says Proverbs says better is a patient person than a warrior. I was like, Lord of mercy on my soul. I was like,
What's the scripture?
It's get it. It's Proverbs 16:32.
Okay.
This is the NIV version. Better is a patient person than a warrior. And I was like, it just sparked something in me to actually want to be a patient person. I was like, because it says in the eyes of God, it's better than someone that's a warrior. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is why the Bible says over and over again, be patient. And I was like, I think it really does boil down to patience. And trust me, when I say I understand every one of you listening into the depths of my being when it comes to patience, because I have none and I'm on this journey of learning it and what that means, because I will do everything to avoid having to be patient in a situation. I will go around leaps and bounds, just get it done. And now I'm really practicing it. So a lot of what I went through was around, well, I thought it was all going to get done this year. Well, what if God just wants me to be patient and it comes in 5 years? You know what I mean?
If you think about it, though, it does make sense. Like, you know, I like the way it's written there, but I feel it makes total sense, because having faith in something or someone you can't touch, see, or feel, well, touch and feel is the same thing. Yeah. That in itself, you need patience for that. Like, I just think the whole concept of faith means and equals patience.
It's true. Yeah.
Beginning and end.
Yeah, it's true.
But I guess, listen, man, you know, sometimes you know something, because, listen, let's call it what it is. You knew and know that, you know, patience is a virtue.
Yeah, I knew that.
You know that, right? So, but it's just amazing how sometimes a word or a sentence or a perspective from somebody makes you see it, the same thing you already knew, in a completely different way that just changes everything for you.
Exactly. Because it was just a mind-numbing thing. It was just a word to me. Okay, patience is a virtue. Got it. Yeah. Same way as, like, you know, if someone falls down, you should pick them up. Got it. Yeah. Like, okay, but is that actually cracked open for you? Do you actually understand it?
Yes.
And I feel like it's slowly cracking open for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Which is great, because I've told you this a million times.
I know you're like me.
Oh, who, me? Oh yeah. I asked if Duke was here right now, she'd be like, "Oh, Jason has no patience," and she would rhyme off 15 instances yesterday where I had no patience. So yeah, 100%. I am totally like you, but I try to work on it. I'm not as good as most. at working on it right now. I will be at some point.
No, but in terms of just like growing, in terms of like the serious growth that like I'm talking about, like the painful growth, right?
Yes.
God will have a time where he's going to yell at you and make you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when that time comes, you're going to be standing at the back of the line somewhere.
It's fine.
Wanting to kill someone.
Yeah. For sure. But I liked your perspective on it. You see, any conversation that I've ever had with somebody who's going through pregnancy has always just been around, oh, I feel sick, oh, I feel hungry, oh, I have munchies, oh, my feet hurts, oh, my back hurts, the norm. I'm not trying to downplay that. I know how it came out of my mouth just now was not,
blah, blah.
Yeah, that was not the intent of that. So don't at me, anybody, please. But this was a very different pregnancy perspective that I've ever heard. Okay. I've never heard anybody talk about it from a personal growth, spiritual perspective before. So this was pretty cool for me.
It's good. That's what I'm.
And I'm a dude who will never get pregnant.
Yeah, okay.
So I have no attachment to this in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that you can grow in every and any situation if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
And I think if for those of you out there who are, want to get pregnant or are pregnant, or maybe you've just had a baby, maybe have a little less focus on the normal stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I say focus, I mean that's where your attention goes to. A little less focus there and focus on something like this. You may come out on the other end of this like a thousand times better version of yourself.
I hope that everything I go through, I come out a better version of myself, because I'm like, then what was the point of going through all this pain? But I can say everything in my life and this whole, just this journey of being pregnant, if I did not have God, I don't know where I would be in my life. Like, I would actually feel like I would be dead somewhere on the street. Like, I don't know how I would have gotten through it, because everything you explain, all the physical stuff, takes up so much of your headspace. Because just like, think about when you injure yourself. I know, like, you injure your back a lot. When your back hurts,
I'm a mess right now.
Yeah, like it's difficult to focus on other things because something's physically going through your body. So it's taking up like literally all whatever is going on in your brain, right? So it's hard, but I feel like, I don't know if focus is the right word, but I don't know, just knowing God is there the whole time and saw every step of the way and knew every thought when I didn't even say it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just really helped me a lot. And I think I do feel like a different person. It's very strange. Yeah. It's very strange to go through. I don't even know how to explain it, but I'm all over the place. Just on the podcast. All over the place. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So anything else that you want to?
I don't know. I just hope that like other women, especially like that, are listening to this, because I know motherhood and parenthood in general is such a journey, like for the rest of your life, right? That it's an opportunity to be like God, because God is our Father, right? And even just like being pregnant and going through that journey, or if you're in the stage where you want to be pregnant, like you want a family, right? God can grow you out of every situation. What was that Tupac line, the rose that grew from concrete or whatever? Isn't that like a Tupac song or something like that? Or I don't know, it's from somewhere. But like literally, like God can bloom beautiful things out of horrible situations. It sounds so bad that I'm referring to this as horrible, but I just mean like, okay, like being sick or like whatever, just being depressed or being really moody, right? You're not happy. But God, just the fact that a beautiful child comes from it proves that in the crap, God brings something so beautiful. So whatever crap you're in right now, know that God can really birth something beautiful out of it.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if it helps, I mean, crap is used as fertilizer.
Hey, there you go.
On that note.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate you listening to my testimony, my story. I hope it made sense, honestly. I feel like I'm all over the place, but...
Well, I got it. So if
Okay.
I got it, anybody can get it.
Okay. Thanks for listening, guys.
Later.
Bye.